Salam alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Humanity. Today I've come on I think it's the 7th of January 2025. As always, I've come to remind men and women that your duty as living human beings is, first of all, to ensure that you as an individual, you are in very, very good health. That means that your head is in very good, very well maintained without any intoxications, and your heart too, because those two organs, the brain and your heart, are very important for your well-being. If your heart is not in good or in any way not in good, if it's not in good condition, if it's not maintained to be at its best rotation or sequencing cycles as they were created by Allah, then that kind of, in a certain language, they say it spells problems. But if your heart is in its natural rotation sequencing cycles, that means every other organ in your body is balanced at the sequencing rotation cycles of every organ. That includes the red and white blood cells, which are the major and the most important part of your life, because every red and white blood cell in your body, in your blood, are responsible for constructing every muscle tissue, either on your face and your organs as well. And they must be maintained. Your blood must be looked after with the most best kind of food you can consume. What we haven't discussed in detail for a long time, I've never touched that subject with an effective way to allow human beings to understand this part of what is a red cell or what is a white blood cell. I won't go too deep into that. What I want to show you is that these red and white blood cells are very, very, very important in the well-being of a human body to maintain. They clean. First of all, they clean. If there are any residues that are unknown or which are found in a human body, or which are built up in human body, that includes processing and removing what comes out of you as urine. All these things are managed by red and white blood cells. So the red and white blood cell, they process, they build, they do all the work that makes a human being to be able to live, to work, to do things in a very, very, as I said, if your brain is in well maintained, it's clean, or it's clean out of any sort of intoxications. Because with these tools, the red and white blood cell, as well as the heart and the brain, we must, it's a very wide subject, because that the brain and the heart means the entire human body. In order to keep your health in very good condition, or in the well-being of yourself, in the well-being of yourself, you have to look after your heart as well as your brain. One of the things, there's so many things that causes the brain as well as the heart to kind of slide into what we call it can easily slide into things that makes it puts dents, and these are kind of very small dents, chips, just little chips. Yeah, just dents. A little dent can easily make your heart and your brain kind of slide off its natural balanced rotation sequencing cycle. Let's look at how does that happen? Take, for instance, the foods you consume. If you consume or to put in your body things which contain what we call artificial additives or preservatives, these are things which contain a certain agent in them, and that agent is similar, or the biologist part of that agent, which is in either an additive or artificial preservatives, because additives are artificial, and also preservatives are also artificial and colors. But these, when they contain an agent, with that agent, the human body does not have the mechanisms to process those things out of the human body. I want you human beings to understand your bodies so that way, you see, the reason why I'm giving this information to human beings, that if you are in good health, if your health is at its base, in the best way that you feel your body is healthy, well looked after, that will kind of shine in the center of your brain, because we looked at the brain. It has two sections, the two major sections. If you are to view the brain from the forehead, it has two sections, a left section and a right section. But in the middle there, in the line that separates the two sections, if your brain is in good health and your body, your heart is in good health, there'll be a light. That light, it automatically switches on a switch that says, dispense what is inside, which is beauty, health. That's when a person says, this is how you look after your health. Do not consume alcohol. Do not consume things that are artificially inserted or put in what you call foods. Because if you knew that your body cannot process artificial additives, if you knew that your body cannot process, it has no mechanism to process artificial additives or artificial preservatives, then you wouldn't put them in your body. Because if you do, they will get stuck here and there and build as residues or dirty things in your body. And once that occurs in a human body, it slows down, it cuts off, it stops, it slows the rotational sequence cycle of every organ in your body, which can cause either low blood pressure or high blood pressure. And it causes also, it stops the regenerations of muscles and muscle tissues of your body. As well as, when we talk of muscle tissues, this includes nerves and everything, the nerve system and whatever. And it also, because we've seen that if we are consuming a lot of artificial preservatives and additives and colors and what have you, we are not talking about alcohol right now. We are talking about things that are added in what you call your meals every day. This will generate a build-up of an agent which I cannot put on the table because it's these residues we would classify them as toxic toxins, similar to that of the gunk of alcohol. And the human body, has no know-how, has no any way it can process these manufactured things by human beings When we speak of things that are manufactured by hands of men, I'll tell you something, where everyone out there, human beings, we have a percentage of mental development. But that mental development is kind of limited to very few things. Because if you are to pick, if you are to be served a dish, or let's say a soup or a cup of tea, with your little percentage of mental development, you put in sugar, about 5 spoons of sugar in a single cup. I wouldn't say how big it is, but you put about 5 spoons of sugar in that very small cup. And with that, those 5 spoons of sugar, it may look as if, because the taste of whatever the nerve that tastes the sweetness in what you are going to consume tells you that you need 5 or 4, 6 or 7. Well, that's the body. If you are to examine it, look inside your blood cell, and I think they call there's a blood system. You find that either that requirement of sugar that you need either in your toe or in your whatever, in your brain or somewhere, is not as much as what you've put in a cup of tea. Because you may put 5 spoons of sugar, yet you take less milk or you take less fruits. And if you are to take fruits, you don't need to add any sugars. So what I'm trying to say is that naturally, by natural interpretations of the whole divine decrease of application to human body mechanisms, means that, and what we call al-minzal, a human body and a human brain does not have any certificate of certainty if it is that if I was to add 5 teaspoons of sugar in my tea, in my cup of tea, it will kind of benefit. No. Instead, it's the other way around. It will cause the slowing down of the rotation sequencing cycle of every organ in your body. There are some organs, if they slow down at a very, like slumping down, it may cause your heart to go out of its natural balanced sequencing rotation cycles, which causes the blood pressure in your eyes as well as in every part of your body and the brain to kind of clear, like when you are into traffic. I don't know whether you've ever sat in traffic and it takes about 3 hours and the cars are not moving. So that way, it takes, even if it's an hour, the cars are not moving. So this is something like that happens when you put in 5 teaspoons in a small cup of whatever, and you swallow it, and then it slows down, it slumps the entire system into what you call either because in a human body, people who study medicine, they'll tell you, in fact, it's very difficult for a person, unless you are, to understand what causes, how does this whatever works, that now your blood is under low pressure, or it's what you call a high pressure, or whatever we call pressure. So that way, Allah, who created human beings, I always say Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. He created things that men, if we are to grow as much as men, as fruits as you can on this planet, without genetically altering it or doing any alteration to those fruits. And if you are to have a garden of either tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, or whatever, you just pick one. You don't have to add anything, wash it, and after washing it, you can chew it with a piece of cheese. And that will make your day very, very beautiful. Because we looked at sugar, And it's proof and evidence that even if it were you had served a dish of whatever dish of soup, a player, I don't know what they say, whatever soup, you would like to, if you taste it, you say, oh, I think I need to add a little bit of salt in it. If you're to pick salt by the two fingers in your either right hand or left hand and start dropping, you don't know how many droplets, how many whatever droplets of salt have went into how many droplets of salt have gone into your soup. Do you know why? And do you know how much does each droplet or each whatever of crystal of salt contains how many whatever that you are adding in your food? So that way, Allah says, even the bee honey, you people, you taste honey. Honey tastes very, very sweet. But in it, there's sugar there. You may want to believe that or not, but there's sugar. I mean, there's salt in there. In what you call honey. Honey is a product of a bee, produced by natural processes. But with it, there's salt in there. Salt that doesn't taste, or salt that does not apply that which you add in your soup. But there's salt there, and it's more medicinal. It has more medicinal applications than what you men pick up and say, I'm going to add this on my chips and whatever in my soup. So with that, Allah has interpreted every single details of his religion, the most holy, beautiful religion, in a way that he says, follow my holy divine interpretations and guidance and prescription of divine holy laws that governs either your bodies, your societies, your structures of business, your structures of your family life, your structure of your parents, your structure of everything, both inside and outside your houses, as well as inside in your bodies, as well as outside your bodies. Clean yourself. Get wood. Wood is when you take ablution. Clean yourself. If you clean yourself and you do an ablution, it's for your own benefit. Because with ablution, you have to cleanse your nose. You put water in your nostrils and then you blow it out. That way, if you're to leave every particle of dust that goes in through your nostrils, and for a prolonged time you haven't cleaned those nostrils, let's say a month or two, then they are likely to become disease. Because if you are to examine the nostrils of a human being, they are usually something where there, because the brain removes what is not needed in the center of the brain and brings it here in the nostrils, in between the nostril cavity and whatever, and the nose, and it hangs in there. It's something like, it's always wet. And if you are breathing, that means dust is something that men cannot see properly, because every time you breathe, there's some very, very tiny particles of dust which deposits on the lining cavity of the nose and the brain. And if you leave it for, let's say, for a month or two, and you haven't removed it, it definitely becomes disease. It kind of produces what you call, because what you men don't understand is that what you call dust, these are living organisms. Living organisms with whatever they have the potential to become disease at any given, if you're given a chance in a human body's whatever, because a human body is a very fertile thing. It's a very fertile field for viruses and bacteria to do their whatever. So you are that way. Allah says, make ablution 3 times a day. Clean your nose, clean your mouth, clean your armpits, you clean your hands, clean your feet, clean your private parts, so that way you are clean. If you are clean, your body will, you, by Allah, we see any activity, any thing that Allah has commanded and you do it and it's right in the way that Allah has commanded us, it gets what? The same way. You have a little percentage of mental development. You did not ask for it, but Allah gave it to you so that you can use it either to ask Allah and say, glorify be to Allah. Can I did have ablution, I'm clean. What can I do to make myself do this and that? That way you're working on a guidance of He who created you. But if you say you have your own way of life, you don't wash yourself, you don't clean yourself, you don't clean your nostrils. I don't know whether if you had to ask some people before COVID, how many times, even up to today, how many times do you wash your nostrils? How do you rinse your nostrils to remove the deposits of particles of dust? They'll tell you, I haven't cleansed my nostrils for over a year or two. And what does that spell? Disease. So we are talking about health. We are talking about the beauty of keeping your brain in very good health. If you leave those deposits of, particles of dust and deposits on the lining cavity between the nose and the brain, that means the first thing to affect either the nose and then it moves upwards into the brain as well as downwards into your throat. What does that mean? Disease. You are becoming ill. So, your health is very important to you, to your family, because if you are to become sick and you are the breadwinner, that means everyone in your family will be affected, as well as the neighbors and the society around you. What you contaminate, what you get from being reckless, not washing, not adhering to the holy divine law, which says you have to have ablution if you have to become unwell. I think so. What COVID was. COVID was a result of men who said, our way of life, we don't have ablution here. We don't never have ablution because those are for Muslims. And our way of life is you get a bottle of champagne, you drink it and you move on, struggling here and there, one foot in the grave, one foot in the sinkhole. And when COVID came, he said, is it really your foot, one foot in the grave or in the sinkhole? He says, if you say you did not like our divine, holy, directives, it says you have to have ablution, then I crush you. I threw you on the ground or in the hospital. So that way, to avoid such situations, do adhere to the holy divine prescription and laws that governs human bodies. These are things that you may take lightly, but they have enforcers. I told you a few days ago that you're in a community whereby disease also is a member of community. It's there to put you in line. If you stand out over the boundaries, it will pull you down into the sinkhole. Once you are in the sinkhole, there's nowhere you can hold or say, I hold on here, I want go deep, I won't sink in the sinkhole. No. You have to be reminded that if you are reckless, irresponsible, the sinkhole or the whatever, one foot in the grave, means that the other two is to follow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm not an enemy to you, but a warning and a guide, kind of a man shining his torch to those who are kind of walking in the dark. If you're walking in a very dark whatever, sometimes there are wolves which can kind of grab you and just keep within the provisions and practices of a holy, beautiful religion. Because the entire body, or what you call your body, its application, every application in it, applies only to one religion. And that religion is Islam. That's the religion of the trees, where you gather your fruits from, where you gather what you eat from. That's the religion of the air you breathe, which tells you that even though you're breathing air, it contains some particles of dust which deposits into your nostrils. With that, you are commanded to have ablution so that you cleanse your nostrils. It's not a bad request, is it? Whose house is it anyway? Whose responsibility is it to look after your nostrils that you don't catch cold after cold? The other week you had flu, and this time you had this and that. Look after your health. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.